President Trump's ongoing trade agenda. So what he's calling is the 90-day push to reshape U.S. trade relations. This is extended after July 9th to August 1st. He's ramped up pressure on our international partners. He's sent out tariff letters to 14 countries. Take it away.
Yeah, so look, President Donald Trump, I believe, is learning the hard way that reaching trade deals is actually a lot more difficult, a lot more complicated than just using tactics of coercion or pressure. And as you know, he's been pressuring our trade partners to essentially come back to the table and renegotiate deals that are more favorable to the United States. So let me back up for context, because on April 2nd of this year, that was Liberation Day, as Trump dubbed it. And he said that he would implement steep reciprocal tariffs on our trade partners if they failed to sign new trade deals with the United States by July 9th. Well, July 9th comes and goes, and so there's this question about what comes next, and so we get a new deadline. So he seems to be wavering on that deadline too, though. According to the Financial Times, Trump also left the door open for negotiations, saying that the letters were more or less final offers and not 100% firm. And what letters are we talking about? Well, Scott Bessent, we're going to show you, that's the, trade secretary, and he explains the letters in a minute. But first, let's listen to Trump, and here's what he said during a recent interview with press.
If they call with a different offer, and if I like it, we'll do it.
And the August 1 deadline, is the August 1 deadline firm now? Is that it?
I would say firm. No, I would say firm, but not 100% firm. If they call up and they say, would like to do something a different way, we're going to be open to that. But essentially, that's the way it is right now, yeah.
So, look, the important takeaway there is that the August 1st deadline isn't really firm. I actually think that's a good thing, because I don't want these steep tariffs across the board to go into effect. It's going to lead to inflation in this country. But in the meantime, the Trump administration is sending out these threatening letters, pressuring our trade partners to negotiate or renegotiate. And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is going to explain that. This is during an interview with CNN. Take a look.
Yes.
So the countries will get a letter saying that if we have not reached an agreement, then you will go back to the April 2nd level.
Starting when? On August 1st?
On August 1st.
Okay, so there's basically a new deadline.
It's not a new deadline. We are saying this is when it's happening. If you want to speed things up, have at it. If you want to go back to the old rate, that's your choice.
When you say that there's going to be a lot happening over the next few days and you don't want to give me the playbook, is there a playbook?
Sure. The playbook is to apply maximum pressure. We saw that the EU was very slow in coming to the table 3 weeks ago on a Friday morning.
Okay, so there is a new deadline. Again, it was July 9th, and now the new deadline is August 1st. I hate the gaslighting. Just be honest. Just be honest. We want to give more time for negotiations. People respect honesty, but okay. Now, let's take a look at this graphic that shows you what Trump's new tariffs will be if these specific countries fail to reach a new agreement with the United States. So as you can see, Bangladesh, any imports coming from Bangladesh would be tariffed at 35%, Cambodia 36%, Indonesia 32%, Japan 25%. Japan's one of our top trading partners, by the way. And so Japan is an interesting case because they've been less willing to play ball than I think the Trump administration expected. And considering they're such a huge trade partner of ours, should a 25% tariff on Japanese imports come into effect, that will absolutely be at least partially passed down to the consumer in the U.S., and that will drive up inflation. So that's the concern right now. Trump administration says the negotiations are ongoing. I guess we're going to wait and see what happens. But I don't think Trump is going to actually implement tariffs that high, because it will make him the least popular president in American history if those costs are indeed passed down to American consumers.
So you think it's just a intimidation tactic to
do.
essentially make them comply with what he wants?
To come back to the table and negotiate for better deals. Now, he's really upset with Japan because he really wants Japan to buy American rice and American cars. But Japan is like, no, we don't want to do that. So that's like a sticking point right now. To be fair, Japan has made some other concessions. So I do think Trump is going to get some some cookies from some of these negotiations.
Right.
And I want to be clear, I think that targeted tariffs, like the ones that he implemented in his first term, were actually pretty good. I mean, the tariffs on some products coming from China, for instance.
Yes.
That was smart. They were so effective. They worked out so well that the Biden administration kept them and even expanded upon them. So I do think that there's a place for targeted tariffs. I don't know if this approach of tariffs for everybody works.
Right.
We'll see.
Well, okay, hold on.
There's a deranged man theory. He's currently governing by, according to that theory, deranged man theory, basically.
Fun.
Exactly.
Hold on.
It's
Is anybody for this? Because I actually am.
Well, I
even
have
though
a very-
and I have a case for it.
Because you believe
I
in
have a
American
nuance.
production and
Well,
just
okay, so
focus
there's
on-
a couple of issues that are irrefutable. One being national security. We saw this during
I agree.
COVID.
I agree.
He's going after pharmaceuticals in particular with the PPE stuff.
Agree, yeah.
Another one, and not to mention, guys, when we look at what he's going after in particular right now, copper, tech stuff, we've talked about this with Apple and iPhones. Are they spying on us through our vacuum cleaner? The national security with regard to, I swear to God, there's a whole article about that.
I believe you, girl.
About how there were chips in vacuum cleaners coming from China. So,
Right.
Yeah.
so you've got a national security issue across the board with regard to supply chains for very important shit, chips, pharmaceuticals, the list goes on and on. Then you've got a reshoring element here. And I'm going to just say this, so far, in 2025 versus 2024, we've seen a 454% increase in tariff-triggered reshoring activity. GE just came out and said they're going to do a $490 million reshoring move and guarantee 800 jobs. We've seen it from Johnson & Johnson, planning $55 billion in manufacturing and investments over 4 years in North Carolina. Apple pledged $500 billion, building new manufacturing capacity and AI plants in Houston. Hyundai, $21 billion. Honda, AbbVie, Merck, NVIDIA, blah, 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 blah. The point is, I think I get the strategy piece. Do we have to do it like this? Do we have to go crazy all at the same time? But it seems like the markets are generally healthy. We're the biggest buyer in the room. I think they got to do business with us. And this kind of comes down to your big, beautiful bill argument for me. In other words, you guys are saying, we're kicking the can, we're kicking the can. I think previous administrations have kicked the can. I think globalists like Obama hollowed out the Rust Belt of our country.
That's true.
I think it has to be done. And I'm for it. I'm for it.
I have a
I'm for
nuanced
it.
perspective on it. I'm in favor of a lot of what you said. I do want to give Trump a lot of credit for going after China because somebody needed to do it, and China has been unfair towards the United States ever since they joined the World Trade Organization in 2001. And no one had the guts to take on China the way that Trump did. So I have to give him tremendous credit for that. Another thing that I have to say, though, tariffs are paid for by Americans.
Yeah.
We're the ones
Consumers.
paying
But
for
guys,
it.
inflation is a bipartisan rot, and it is a small price to pay for all the things we're talking about, and we're paying it anyway. We continue to pay it. Every single party, every single administration, inflation.
I'm talking about tariffs. So the import tax. These are taxes that Americans have to pay on their Christmas gifts. That's coming up.
But it makes you're saying it inflates the price, though, right, of your everyday
Yeah.
goods. So
By
essentially, it is inflation, though.
He's threatening to impose 135% tariffs on China goods. So can you imagine what Americans have to pay for their toys?
But I would say it's now with an end in sight that will benefit Americans. I mean, that is the plan. Does it work? I'm betting yes right now, but I could very well be wrong.
I don't think that these high tariffs will be implemented at the end of the day. In regard to the national security elements, I don't even think we should have a negotiation about it. Pharmaceutical drugs should be manufactured in the United States, period. End of story. Anything
he's forcing
pertaining
them
to
to do that, though. You're seeing
right,
that
but I mean,
now.
he wants them to come back, have a seat at the table, and negotiate we don't need to negotiate the national security stuff.
Yeah.
We should be manufacturing that stuff here in the U.S., whether it's the chips, whether it's the pharmaceutical drugs. I think that maybe this threatening approach could lead to better trade deals when it comes to other products that are being imported that are not, related to our national security. We just have to wait and see. But so far, countries like Japan have been pushing back pretty aggressively.
And the
It is a
reason
wait and
why,
see.
the reason why I
It is.
actually agree that the tariffs, the 135% tariffs at least, are never going to be enforced is two words actually: the bond market. The bond market is so freaking powerful. the fact that Trump, Liberation Day, he's like, I'm not going to cave. I'm definitely not going to cave. And then a few days later, he caves. It's because he saw the stock market. And Trump governs by the stock market. He said, panicans, don't lose your head. But remember TACO? You know what TACO stands for? Trump always chickens out. Did you see that viral?
Oh, come on. He's negotiating.
No, hold on. I'm not saying that he does.
I know. I'm not attacking you with that. I'm just saying it's like this is part of a negotiation.
I'm just saying that
I like orange chicken a lot better.
Oh, for God's sake.
I'm just saying that he's never going to impose these extremely high tariffs because his biggest supporters and the oligarchs are just not going to have it. People like, what's his name? Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman was losing his mind over the tariffs. People who don't, like Elon Musk, for instance, these people's net worth were decimated that week, Liberation Day.
And they rule the country. So.
Exactly. They run the country. There's no way that he's going to let the highest tariffs go into effect. But I also think he's extremely bothered by the TACO acronym. I think we shouldn't underestimate how much that kind of got under his skin. And that is why he's still playing the game right now. He's trying to position himself as a strongman. He loves strongmen, like from Kim Jong-un to Putin to Xi Jinping.
He didn't look like a strongman in his recent press conference with Netanyahu where he deferred to him. He deferred U.S. foreign policy to Netanyahu. It was crazy.
Yeah, well,
or telling people to get over Epstein. Honestly, both of those instances.
Well, those were unfortunate, but that's one of the things that I love that we do here is we are not so partisan. We are willing to call out bullshit on either side. Thank you so much for watching Her Take. If you like the show, can you help us out by subscribing to the channel, clicking the notification button, sharing, commenting, joining the conversation? It helps us out a ton with the algorithm. We appreciate you.